All right, wrapping up joint practices here in Berea, Ohio against the Cleveland Browns. I'm now joined by voice of the Vikings, Paul Allen, and PA. I'm going to start this segment off like this. I believe it was the first period of one-on-ones. Justin Jefferson had a really good one-on-one battle against Martin Emerson Jr., and right after that play, he took his gloves off and didn't practice with gloves the rest of practice.
Wow.
That was pretty much the vibe of camp today. It was like, hey, day one, we're going to have some fun, but today was all business.
Okay, well, you're a former D1 receiver. Please explain to the announcer when somebody, whether you're the best like JJ or whomever takes their gloves off, what does it mean?
It means that you are ready for business because you don't need gloves to make a catch. When you take your gloves off, that pretty much means your focus level is to another sense. When you have on gloves, that's just subconsciously you just feel like you're going to catch every pass. The fact that JJ took his gloves off means he's going to make every catch look impossible, which I believe he had another great day today. What were your thoughts on practice?
Well, Justin got loose a few times. In the first drill in the red zone between the wide receivers and the Browns corners, as I put on Twitter, the Vikings receivers obliterated them. Now, it turns around as you go during practice because Cleveland is a talented, fast, and very physical team. But, like I said 9 to noon on KFAN earlier in the day, is that the way things went on Wednesday, there were just some certain physical-related things that I was looking for from our team today, and they were super physical. Today was a lot better than yesterday. The way they closed it out with the twos against the twos, and Mullins hit Tristan Jackson for what would have won the game or nearly tied the game with 7 seconds left. Stuff like that's exciting.
Defensively, we knew this Vikings team had a phenomenal day on the defensive side of the ball, and the Cleveland Browns were going to come out and say, hey, we're going to bounce back. Defensively, I saw another productive day by this Brian Flores-led defense.
Yes.
What did you see?
I saw a physical bunch. Now, I mean, with Cleveland, with Myles Garrett and some of the cats they roll out there, they pride themselves not only on talent but physicality. All right, well, the Vikings defense is on the sideline watching this when it's happening. So that's going to be, oh, okay. I saw a lot of that today compared to yesterday, where yesterday, there were some people who got pushed around. They didn't get pushed around today. And that's that maturation, ever so slightly maybe, that you need to see heading up to the regular season.
Do you have a guy in mind that stood out amongst the rest for this Vikings team? I'll let you answer, or do you want me to answer first with my guy and give you yours?
I like Patrick Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought Patrick Jones Jr., I thought he stood out both days. He's more physical than I've seen him early in his career. I like how Flores moves him up and down the line. And that's important because when you have Grenard and Dallas Turner, they're going to get the headlines and the shine. Those guys are going to play a lot. And I was just really happy with Patrick. What about you?
Yeah, there's an interview right now on Vikings.com with Patrick Jones II talking about his maturation level, how it's grown from year one until where he is right now, which is very phenomenal, very great, and I'm glad you brought him up. I'm going to go 1A, 1B.
The second, not junior. I apologize.
All good. I'll talk about junior. Ivan Pace Jr. was a guy that stood out to me when it comes to this. Pick six, sacks, mugging the A-gap, acting like he's going to blitz, dropping back in coverage, tip balls. Just a guy that looks like he's a 10-year vet out there that's only in year 2. Granted, he didn't even get drafted last year.
Right.
And when you look at just his maturation level, I'm excited to see where that's going to go. But ultimately, Christian Darrisaw versus Myles Garrett, that was the matchup everyone was looking forward to. And Myles Garrett, I mean, he's a phenomenal generational type player, and I believe Christian Darrisaw held his own. And to have that type of work 2 days in a row and still feel like you're one of the best left tackles in the game, I was thoroughly impressed with Christian Darrisaw both days, both Wednesday and Thursday.
Well, it makes me smile whenever you talk about Darrisaw and Garrett, including on the radio earlier today, because when you get two guys that size who are gifted with the footwork and the speed they have, and then like two rams on the prairie coming together, and Darrisaw wins, Garrett wins, Darrisaw wins, Garrett, and just how they're feeding off each other with iron sharpening iron. And then after the first practice, Myles went out of his way to come up to Christian and embrace him. They took their helmets off, and then like Myles was pointing and clearly saying something to him with like, hey, think about this. You're really, really good. Joint practices are the bomb for that reason. Now with Ivan Pace Jr. and some other players who stepped up today defensively, I just was really, really happy with. I don't know what Flores did today, if he went deeper in the playbook. But, against Deshaun Watson, they flustered Deshaun, and he looked at his first and second read, and it wasn't there, and then they had to get him out. And when you see the Vikings sideline start to jump up because they knew in a real game you're either sacked or you're throwing it away, that was cool.
And that was very cool. And I think on top of that, just seeing the fact when Deshaun Watson did get out of the pocket and was trying to make plays down the field, our cornerbacks were in position to make plays and pass break up the ball, because that's an area of emphasis. When the offense extends plays, the defensive backs, it makes their jobs a lot harder.
Right.
But, sticking with the joint practice comment, the joint practice theme of this show.
I love it.
How would you just assess joint practices in its totality?
Well, they've become the new third preseason game. When they had 4 preseason games, that was the most important. So Saturday against the Browns against Vikings. I don't know who's going to play, who's not going to play, because the ones and a lot of the twos got out of these practices clearly what they needed. But you know what? What was good for the Vikings today? Maybe at the top of the heap, nobody left hurt. I mean, we've had this common thread of catastrophe. Most recently, Jordan Addison with that ankle, and certainly not rooting against another team, but it was like Maurice Hurst. I saw him walk off with what looked to be a hamstring. Amari Cooper had to walk off with whatever was happening with him, and for no Vikings, at least that I saw, to leave hurt, yes.
You hope it stays that way. You don't wish injury on your guys or another team, but with this Vikings team, just battling adversity all offseason, a healthy day is always a win, and it's always a win having you on here talking ball with you.
Appreciate you.
Looking forward to Saturday, 3:25 p.m. Central Time, 4:25 p.m. Eastern, at the Cleveland Browns Stadium in Cleveland, Ohio. Appreciate you, PA.
Yep.